They sat at the edge of the restaurant and waited in silence. Each person was lost in their own thoughts. Joe looked at the atmosphere of the place. He liked it a lot. He thought of what it would be like to come here on a date. He considered how Jennifer would look here in this place. Kirsten would look better, he thought guiltily. "So how's Chris doing?" Rich asked, breaking the silence. "Man, I invited that guy to come and he just told me he couldn't make it," Shaun complained. "He told me he's going to Towson to visit Kate," Joe said. "That's not what he told me. He just said he couldn't make it." "I bet you he's lying. He's not in Towson right now," Shaun said. "Probably is, though," Joe said. "It's so hard to get that guy out of his fucking house. Unless weed or Halo is involved, of course," Shaun said bitterly. "He does like to do those two things," Rich agreed. "Yeah, I suppose you're right," Joe said. "It sucks, though, because every single time we go out, we have a good fucking time. We used to go to parties back in the day and have fun together. Now it's like pulling teeth to get this guy out," Shaun said. "Yeah, those were some good times," Joe said. "I was actually talking to Chris about it not too long ago." "Yeah? Did he explain to you why he never wants to hang out with us?" "I've literally had to replace him as my best friend. Now Richie Boy has the title," Shaun said. "I'm honored that I could be someone's replacement," Rich said sarcastically. "Don't worry. You're a good replacement, Shaun assured him. "Yeah, I have no idea what Chris does when we're not with him. No fucking clue," Joe said. "Well, doesn't he work a lot?" Rich asked. "I fucking work a lot, and somehow I've managed to make it to New York to see my boy. I work 5 days. I don't think he works more than that," Shaun said. "Chris is probably just one of those people who don't want to do anything on the days off. I can understand that," Joe added. "Like going to New York and visiting friends?" "Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to call Chris out on being a shitty friend or anything. All I'm saying is if a blunt was involved, I bet you he would find the time to come out with us. That's all I'm saying," Shaun said. "Yeah, but you're acting like you don't like smoking weed too, though," Joe said. "I'll be the first one to admit that I enjoy smoking weed. But what I'm trying to say is it's hard not to get a little offended when one of our closest friends only wants to see you when he's high." "Like, what the hell does that mean?" Shaun asked. "You're taking it too personal, man. That's just what he does now. The same way you're spending money on nice clothes and shit, even though you are in huge need of a fucking haircut, that's the same way Chris spends his time and money on weed," Joe said. "My flashy-ass clothes? Don't interfere with my relationship with my pals," Shaun grumbled to himself. "Just admit that you miss him and move on," Rich said, laughing. "I do miss him. I miss us, man," Shaun said sincerely. He shook his head in shame. "I haven't even started drinking yet." Christopher. "Manifesting destiny, you can handle the shit. Try and get next to me, I'll dismantle you quick. I'm a talking quack, robotic, hypnotic that, flows on it and starts some chat, most wanted, they call me that. Heisenberg, what's worse, this guy with a thirst." Chris mouthed the words as the music played from the laptop. The fans hummed in unison, almost adding to the rhythm. His verse ended and he closed the laptop. "Just a little something," Chris said with a shrug. "Yo, that was pretty hot, Chris. I'm telling you, if you made a mixtape, it would beat every other wannabe rapper in this town," Ronnie said. "Yeah, but what's the point? I'll make a mixtape and then I put it online. Who hears it? 20 people from fucking Muck City? It's no motivation, man," Chris said. "I feel the same way," Anthony said. "I don't have a problem recording when I acknowledge the fact that there's literally no one going to hear it. It's just when I start getting that urge to be heard and be recognized, that's when I lose the drive. It's like the opposite was supposed to happen. Fucking people still talk about Apparatus Records. Fucking MC Green, Dennis, they loved our shit. But it's just so stupid. It's not enough to do it for just them," Chris said. "Yeah," Anthony said. He exhaled smoke out the window and handed the joint to Chris. "All I'm saying is, it's a shame, yo. Y'all are both awesome rappers. It sucks seeing you two just sit here in the house and not be known. You guys are better than MC Green," Ronnie said. "Who cares, though? I've never considered myself to be competing with people from here. Royce 5'9" is who I look for at competition. Joe Budden, Joel Ortiz, Crooked Eye, Eminem, Lloyd Banks. I could give a fuck less about what MC Green is doing," Anthony said. "Fuck. You're just saying what I'm thinking all the time. I smoked weed with him a couple weeks ago, and the whole time I was thinking how hopeful this guy was. He's made like 15 videos all paid for out of his own pocket. He has no idea that he doesn't have a shot against the people that he's going up against. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like his music, but there's no content, man," Chris said. He took a pull from the joint. "It doesn't even matter. If he were to make it, that would turn me off more to trying. It's like a fucking roulette. Anytime you can see someone like Soulja Boy or Big Sean on MTV," and Anthony said, grimacing. "Damn. I feel bad for you two," Ronnie said sincerely. "Don't bother. Go to school. Do good in school," Chris said. He passed the joint to Ronnie. Anthony laughed at that. "Listen to him, man. Don't be like your uncles. Get good grades in high school and then go to a 4-year college and get a law degree or some shit. Smoke weed on the weekends if you want, just don't let it consume you, he said. We're serious, Chris said. Ronnie handed the joint back to Anthony and put his face in his hands. He sighed heavily. Suddenly, Ronnie grabbed a nearby pillow and flung it across the room angrily. Both Chris and Anthony jumped at the instant outburst. What the fuck? Chris asked angrily. Ronnie's face was buried in his hands again. When he removed them, Chris could see that his nephew was crying. Yo, what's wrong, man? Chris asked. My fucking parents are being fucking assholes, Ronnie said. Is it about moving to Virginia? Chris asked. I don't want to go. All my friends are here. My fucking girlfriend lives here. I don't want to leave her. I don't want to leave you guys either. I've lived here my whole life, and now just because my asshole stepdad found some fucking job in Virginia, I've got to go with him. I fucking hate my fucking family, Ronnie sobbed. Chris and Anthony exchanged a look. Anthony was sitting on the couch next to Ronnie. He edged away from his nephew, uncomfortable. Chris was at a loss for words, but he knew he had to say something. He tried. Look, man, it's not going to be that bad. You're going to go down there and meet new people and have new experiences. At least you're getting out of the muck, right? Yo, if I had a chance to leave this shithole, I'd take it in a heartbeat. I swear to God I would. Plus, Virginia isn't even that far. It's like 6 hours, if that, Chris said. So, I get to see my girlfriend once every 2 months then, Ronnie grimaced. And if I move, I'll probably never see my real dad ever again. Anthony awkwardly took another toke of the joint as he sat with hunched shoulders, not knowing what to do. I told them I just want to finish the school year. I've got less than 2 more years left. Why do they have to go now? Ronnie asked. An idea struck Chris. Yo, he said, why don't you just live here? I can bet you our parents won't mind. 2 pairs of eyes darted towards Chris. Anthony looked shocked while Ronnie looked like he was about to cry even more. You think so? Ronnie asked. He wiped his face. Hell yeah. You sleep over all the time anyway. Might as well make it official, right? Chris said. Yo, Chris, that'd be fucking awesome, man. I've always wanted to live with you guys. You really think I could? Ronnie asked. Talk to Mom in the morning. She'll talk to Nancy and it'll all be taken care of, Chris said. Anthony cradled the remnants of the joint as if it were a baby. His eyes were fixed on it as he held it in his lap. Ronnie looked speechless. He searched for words to say. He put his head down and whispered, Thanks, man. Don't mention it, Chris said. Already he was beginning to wonder if he was going to regret this decision in the future. He shoved the thought aside. Fuck, that Dutch was wasted on some bullshit, Chris said jokingly. Ronnie looked up ashamed. Sorry, he muttered. I'm just kidding, man. Lighten up. It's going to be okay. Who's going to do the honors of rolling up another one? Chris asked. No one raised their hand, but Anthony sat upright at the mention of more weed. Chris nodded his head and shrugged. I guess that responsibility is left up to me, he said. So what are you doing for Halloween, Christopher? Going to any parties? Trish asked. I am, in fact, going to a party or two, Chris said. Trish put her hands on her hips and acted upset. And you didn't send me an invite? That'd be silly. No one wants some single, southern, 18-year-old with semi-large breasts walking around their house. That's just a ridiculous concept. Why would I put someone through that? Chris asked sarcastically. Trish laughed and slapped Chris on the shoulder. You're such an asshole sometimes. Seriously, though, where are you going? She asked. I'm going to a college party in Maryland with a friend of mine. You know, we're probably going to get into some buffoonery, take a couple of shots, drink a couple of beers, bash some bathroom doors in with our fists, Chris said with a smirk. Oh, you're such a badass, Trish said with a smile. You know it, Chris said. Oh my God, so did you hear about Greg? Trish asked suddenly. He got another bitch pregnant or something? Chris asked. Stop it, she said, giggling. Danny's opening up another cozy in Delaware, and Greg is moving there to be the general manager. Yeah? Chris asked, curious, his eyebrows raised. Is this common knowledge or just hearsay? Greg told me, but told me not to tell anyone yet, Trish said. Chris rolled his eyes. His general manager was a pervert. Of course he told you. And you didn't really follow his directions, did you, since you're telling me right now? Good job, he said. Trish glared at him. Oh, shush, she said. Who do you think is going to be the new general manager? I could honestly give a fuck less. Probably Hanky Pants. He's next in line, right? Or Sheila, Chris said. I hope it's not Sheila. I fucking hate her, Trish said, frowning. Chris shrugged. She's certainly not the nicest person on the management team. Anyway, I'm going to start making efforts to leave now. It was nice talking to you, kid. He lightly slapped her cheek with his hand and backed away from her with a smirk. She rolled her eyes humorously and walked away. Chris watched her ass as it grew further and further away. His head shook with regret. Fuck, I could fuck her, he thought. He walked away, feeling slightly depressed. He clocked out at the computer terminal and started heading for the lobby. Hey, Chris, come here for a minute. I want to talk to you. Danny's raspy voice cut through the restaurant. Chris turned on his heels and quickly headed into the kitchen. Danny stood in the center with his arms crossed, waiting for him. When it came to Danny, the meaning of that pose was extremely ambiguous. It could mean something very bad or very good. Chris figured his boss got pleasure out of his employee's uncertainty. What's up? Chris asked. Danny looked at him for a long time. It was hard to tell what he was thinking. Finally, he opened his mouth. A couple of months ago, you said you were saving up for a car, Danny said. How's that going? It's going good. My brother Anthony is going to give me $1,000 to buy me out of the car that we're sharing right now, and I've been doing my best to save up a couple of thousand of my own, Chris said. Danny looked at him longer, contemplating. What are you looking to do, buy a new car? Danny asked. Yeah. Basically anything I can afford, really. If I buy a new car, I know I'm going to have to make monthly payments, so I'm deciding if I want to do that with the amount of money I'm making right now, Chris said. You pay rent at your house? Danny asked. No, Chris replied. Danny cocked his head and asked, Are you in school? Chris almost flinched. His least favorite question. I'm taking this semester off, but I'm looking into taking some online courses for the spring, he said. Danny nodded his head. Okay, well, I have a friend that I've been talking to who owns a car dealership. I'm pretty sure I can get you a good deal on a brand new Nissan in a month or two. You have to start saving right now, though. You're going to need $4,000 as a down payment on the spot. The monthly won't be that bad, but you need that $4,000. If worse comes to worse, I can spot you $1,000 if you need it. Chris was dumbfounded. He had absolutely no idea why Danny was offering to help him. Thank you, Chris managed to get those words out of his mouth. All right, I'll let you know in a month after I talk to him, Danny said. Okay, Chris said. He began to walk away. Danny had not moved the entire conversation. Thank you again, Danny, Chris said awkwardly. Danny nodded and walked off to his office. Chris immediately left the store and got in his car. He sat still for a second, wondering what the hell just transpired. He turned the car on and started driving home. Anthony was in the kitchen when he got home. He was pouring himself a bowl of Cheerios. The two nodded at each other. You going to hit the weights soon? Chris asked as he sat down and pulled off his work shoes. Anthony nodded his head. I'm waiting on Ronnie, he said. Did he talk to Mom about moving in yet? Chris asked. Yeah, she told him she'd talk to Nancy and see what she could do, Anthony said. Cool, Chris said. Well, I guess I'll get changed and meet you in the weight room, Anthony nodded in affirmation. Chris headed into his room and closed the door. His phone started vibrating. He pulled off his pants and reached in one of the pockets to retrieve it. It was Joseph. Chris answered. Jade boy, what's up? Chris asked. Sup, Joe said. You ready for tomorrow, boy? Chris asked as he sat down on his bed. Yeah, I'm trying to be drinking from 12 to 12, if you know what I'm saying, Joe said. I'm right there with you, man, Chris said. So what's the plan, Joe asked. All right, you and Jennifer pick me up at around 9. We make the 3-hour drive to Towson, Chris started. Okay. 3-hour car ride to start off the day, maybe tell some jokes. Maybe tell some jokes at the expense of the only female in the car, Joe said. Right. Then we arrive at Kate's place at around noon and start the pregame immediately, Chris said. Okay, I'm liking this. A little shot of tequila. I'm bringing my bottle of rum, Joe said. Chris laughed. You're still on that kick, man? What you mean am I still on that shit? It's the dopest shit there is, nigga, Joe said in his ghetto impersonation. Chris continued laughing. Alright, so Kate says there's going to be a party downstairs in the lobby where we can chill out before we go to the frat party. Where we hit on hot bitches and fuck their minds up with some good old-fashioned YFC humor, Joe interjected. Couldn't have put it better myself, Chris said with a smile. Fuck, I'm excited. I fucking love girls on Halloween. There's going to be so many of them dressed like whores and shit. It's going to be awesome, Joe said excitedly. It should be. Lots of bitches in slutty cop uniforms, I predict, Chris said. Yeah, probably a lot of dudes with hair gel that we'll get to make fun of, Joe said. Guess what Kate is going as? Chris asked. What? A fucking pumpkin, Chris said. Joe sniggered over the phone. Jennifer's going as a fucking kitten. Not like a slutty cat costume, literally just a kitten. Chris laughed. Oh, fuck, he sighed. That's why we love him, right? Shit, speak for yourself, nigga, Joe said. Regardless, it should be a good night, Chris said. It should be a great fucking night. Chris Nasty and Joe Danger at a banger. We're going to make some fucking history. The night air was cold. The four walked in a brisk pace, each person clutching their arms tightly to their chest. A car sped past on the lonely street. Kanye West hit single. All of the lights bumped from the stereo as the people inside of it laughed at the four miserable-looking souls that they passed. Chris picked up a small rock and threw it in the direction of the car, muttering curse words under his breath. "This is so fucked up," Kate said under her breath. She walked the furthest ahead of the group. "What was that?" Chris asked threateningly. "Did the female just speak? My ears must be playing tricks on me." "You know what, Chris? I'm pretty sure she did. I'm pretty sure I did just hear one of the females speak," Joe said. The girls walked further ahead. Chris raised his voice so that they could hear him. "Which one was it, do you think? The pumpkin?" "I know it couldn't be the pumpkin. Pumpkins don't have mouths, isn't that so, Joe?" Chris asked obnoxiously. "Nah, you're definitely right. Pumpkins can't talk. They're vegetables," Joe agreed. "Then why the fuck is this one talking?" he screamed. Kate jumped at the outburst, but did not turn around. Jennifer looked at Joe and glared at him before facing it forward again. She put her arm around Kate and rubbed her shoulder. "Now it's the cat's turn. Look at the cat. The cat's mad. Like I give a fuck. What are you gonna do now?" "Meow?" Joe asked. Chris's words were slurred. The two were extremely drunk. "Oh, are the females mad now because we didn't stay home with them and suck their toes all night?" Chris imitated a girl's voice, making it high-pitched. Chris, don't go to a party and have fun. Don't talk to people. Keep me company and suck my toes while you're at it. Please just suck my toes." Joe burst out laughing at the improvisation. He continued it. "Wah! Look at me, I'm a female crying because I didn't get my toes sucked all night. Pay attention to me. I'm more important. Sitting on the couch for 3 fucking hours in the middle of a fucking party. Spend time with me. Wah!" "Fuck that shit," Chris said. "I'm not doing anything tonight. I'm getting in bed. I'm giving this chick the back." "She's getting the back," Joe said. "Hell yeah. I'm gonna fucking get in bed and turn my back right to her." "Chris, can we talk about tonight?" "Bitch, talk to the back, because that's what you're speaking to." Jennifer couldn't take it anymore. She turned around and looked at the two. "You guys are being really fucking rude, and you really need to stop," she said angrily. "Meow, meow, meow. The cat has tried to communicate. Meow." "I'm sorry, don't speak that," Joe said, enabling a fit of laughter from Chris. "You're both being such assholes," Jennifer yelled. Kate still said nothing. She just kept her arms folded and walked quickly. "Meow," Chris said and laughed some more. "Hold me, love me, give me all the attention. Wah." Joe and Chris went back and forth for the rest of the 15-minute walk back to Kate's apartment. They got inside and Chris plopped himself on the couch. Joe followed his lead. "Did you still want the pizza I got for us to eat later?" Kate asked quietly at the door. Chris perked up his head and looked at Joe. They had a nonverbal communication as to whether or not they wanted to eat or go straight to bed. Finally, Chris turned to Kate and said, "Yes, I would like my fucking pizza." Joe giggled frantically at the exchange. "How fucking drunk are we right now?" he asked Chris. "Pretty fucking drunk. That pizza's gonna taste good in my mouth, though. She wishes it was her puss, but I ain't that fucking guy." Chris said, his head spun as he rested it on the back of the couch. The girls busied themselves in the kitchen, not saying a word to each other. Kate turned the oven on and got the pizza out of the freezer. Chris unbuttoned his pants and slid them off. He threw them onto the floor and muttered something about being a man. "Yo, they're still cooking the pizza, though," Joe noticed. Chris stretched his legs out in front of him and put one foot on the coffee table. "They know it's good for them," he said simply. Joe shrugged. "Still getting the fucking back, though." The female served them the DiGiorno's pizza, taking 2 slices for themselves. They sat at the kitchen table and ate their pieces quietly, leaving the rest of the pie to Chris and Joseph. Chris grabbed his first slice and tilted it above his head to eat it. It was still extremely hot from the oven. Chris stuck his tongue out timidly. He watched in slow motion as the cheese gradually slid off of the slice. The gravity brought it falling down onto Kate's couch with a resounding plop. Chris looked at the huge chunk of cheese that was now resting in between his legs on his girlfriend's couch. He looked at Joseph, who had watched the whole event. They made eye contact and looked at each other for a second or two. Then Chris shrugged and said, "I don't give a fuck," and placed the rest of the slice into his mouth. There was nothing left but dough. He left the cheese on the couch for Kate to clean later. Joe choked on the pizza that was already in his mouth at the spectacle Chris had created. The girls munched their slices silently and tried not to look over at the two men. As they ate, Christopher's anger subsided. He and Joe finished the rest of the pizza and bid each other good night. Kate and Jennifer took care of the cleanup. Chris left Joe in the living room and retired to Kate's room. Chris tore his shirt off and was in bed within seconds of entering the room. It felt dizzy to lie down, but he was extremely tired. The night had exhausted him. Several minutes went by before Kate entered. She took care not to turn on the light and undressed out of her costume in the dark. Chris could hear her moving around, opening drawers and discarding clothes. He contemplated telling her to be quiet, but decided that he had already done enough damage. She lifted the sheets and silently slipped into the bed. True to his promise, Chris positioned his back to Kate. She laid in bed, rigid like a board. Chris could hear her breathing. Slowly, the breathing turned into quiet sobs. Kate was crying. He thought of turning around but decided against it. He wasn't ready. He envisioned the talk they would have the following morning, but in that moment, all Chris wanted to do was sleep. He closed his eyes and fell asleep to the sound of his girlfriend crying. Morning came quickly. Chris awoke early with a full bladder. He got out of bed with his head feeling heavy from the hangover. He stumbled out of Kate's room in nothing but his boxers and sluggishly walked to the bathroom. He caught a glimpse of Joe and Jennifer sleeping on the living room couch. He snorted at the sight of Joe without his glasses. It was such a rare sight for anyone to see that it was always funny every time Chris saw it. He closed the door to the bathroom and took a piss. Kate was awake when he re-entered her room. She stared at him as he closed the door. She scooted over and made some more room for him in bed. He got in and took a deep breath. "I'm fucking hungover," he said groggily. "I thought you would be," Kate said. Her voice was a whisper. Chris waited for Kate to say more. The conversation they were about to have was unavoidable, but he did not want to be the one to start it. Slowly, Kate sat up and went down to the foot of the bed. She crossed her legs and sat Indian style. She was wearing her towels and sweatpants and t-shirt. Her eyes were red from the night before. She looked terrible. A pang of guilt shot through Chris. "I'm the fucking bad guy," he thought. He sat up and crossed his legs at the head of the bed. They faced each other. "I'm sorry for last night," he said solemnly. "I got drunk and there's no excuse, but I'm sorry." "You were saying some really mean things to me last night, and I don't know where it came from," Kate said. "You're right. Like I said, I got drunk and I got mad for no reason," Chris said. "You got mad because me and Jennifer were uncomfortable in a place we didn't know, around people we didn't know. You got mad because we wanted to spend time with... We wanted to spend Halloween with our boyfriends," Kate said. Christopher's head hurt. After the conversation, he would have to have make-up sex. He groaned silently in his head at the realization. He would not be going back to sleep for at least another hour, if not more. "I'm sorry. I just thought it was kind of stupid, that's all. You told me about the party 2 weeks ago. You knew it was going to be a big party. You knew it wasn't going to be in a frat house. If you didn't want to go, why did you bother mentioning it to me? It just pissed me off that I had to feel like an asshole because I was doing what a person's supposed to do at a party, which is socializing," Chris said. "Me and Joe were having fun. It's not that I didn't want to go to the party, it's that I didn't want you to leave me, that's all. You and Joe left and went around talking to a bunch of people. I didn't know where you were half the time. It was such a big house," Kate said. "Me and Joe were having fun. That's what you're supposed to do at a party. That's why I got so fucking pissed off when you looked at me like I'm the fucking bad guy. I didn't do anything wrong. I got drunk at a fucking Halloween party while you just sat on a couch the whole night with 1 cup of beer in your hand. Why is that my fault?" Chris asked. "You called me a pumpkin, Chris." Kate's eyes started to tear. She repeated it again. "You called me a pumpkin." Her voice cracked. "How could you do that?" Christopher's stomach dropped. He hadn't realized what he had done. Fuck. The alarm went off in his head. He wanted to run for cover. He hadn't realized until that moment just how bad he had fucked up. He choked on his next words, his brain spinning for the right phrase or sentence that would make everything right again. "I didn't realize I wasn't thinking of that," Chris started off. "You know what that does to me, Chris. You know better than anyone else in the world what that means to me," Kate said. The first set of tears fell. She wiped them away quickly. "You're right. Kate, I was talking about the costume. I'm sorry, I just wasn't I was talking about your costume," Chris pleaded. "I can't go back to that, Christopher. I can't go back to feeling like shit inside of my own body. I don't want to. It took me this long to get this far. I don't want to go back," she said. "You're not going to. How many times do I have to tell you I'm fine with the way you look? I don't care about your body. I don't think about leaving you for every hot bitch that walks by me. That's not the way my mind works. I love you. I'm sorry for calling you a pumpkin," Chris said. Kate took a second to wipe more tears away. "My therapist always told me to keep negative people out of my life, but I can't live without you, Chris. We tried that before and I almost killed myself," she said. Chris swallowed hard. This was serious. They hadn't talked about Kate's problems in over a year. He'd almost forgotten. He cursed himself in his head. He had no idea how he was going to resolve this. There was a knock at the door. Chris watched the doorknob turn slowly. Jennifer opened the door enough to poke her head through. We're heading back home. I just wanted to say goodbye, she said. Kate looked at Jennifer and faked a warm smile. Her voice resumed her usual casual lightheartedness that Chris had become so accustomed to hearing every day. Okay, she said. Thanks for coming. Such a good faker, he thought to himself. Chris was the only one outside of Kate's immediate family that knew of her depression and weight problems. He had found out within the first 6 months of their relationship. That was over 4 years ago. He kept her secret from everyone. Goodbye, Jennifer said. She stuck her head out of the door. Chris could hear her arguing with someone behind the door. Low voices whispered back and forth. They ceased after a moment. Then Joe stuck his head through the door. The two friends made eye contact. They looked at each other for half a heartbeat. Joe gave a slight nod and disappeared behind the door once more. Joseph. I told you I didn't want to fucking go in there, Joe said as he and Jennifer left Kate's apartment. What's your problem? We were leaving. It would have been rude not to say goodbye. He's your friend and he invited us down here, Jennifer said. I just didn't want to see that, Joe said. See what? They're talking. Chris was obviously apologizing. He was being an asshole last night, and so are you, Jennifer said. Joe rolled his eyes as the two walked over to Jennifer's car. He waited to get into the car before furthering the discussion. Jennifer put the key in the ignition and turned the car on. She looked at Joseph expectantly. Joe took in a deep breath. I apologized as soon as I woke up this morning. I was drunk, and when I get drunk with Chris, we just feed off each other. It wasn't anything personal, we just can't help it sometimes. I apologized once, I'm not going to do it again, Joe said. Jennifer started driving. Well, I'm so upset, she said. I really hate how different you act when you're with your friends. You try to show off and act mean. That's stupid. I don't try to show off in front of my friends. How the fuck was I even showing off last night? I was being myself. Me and Chris got drunk, and we egged each other on. That shit happens sometimes, Joe said. You acted like an asshole. I've never seen that side of you, Jennifer said. Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you, Joe said. And Chris was even worse. If I was Kate, I would have broken up with him by now, Jennifer said. Joe's temper flared. His headache pounded, but he ignored it. First off, you don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea what's going on in their relationship, so don't presume to act like you do. Yes, Chris was acting like an asshole, but they've been together for 5 years. You have no experience with that. Not only am I the longest relationship you've been involved with, but I'm also the only relationship you've been in. They probably know each other better than the rest of the world does, so don't be so quick to judge. You have no clue what you do in her situation because you've never been in her situation. Jennifer huffed loudly but did not say anything further. Joe leaned his head against the headrest and closed his eyes. His head rolled from side to side and his stomach rumbled uneasily. He had thrown up hours ago, while everyone had still been asleep. He figured he could last the car ride back home if he didn't move around too much. He drifted in and out of sleep. Memories from the previous night played through his head. The frat house had been huge. 3 stories. Each floor was packed with hundreds of people. Joe and Chris had turned themselves into the life of the party. The frat brothers thought they were hilarious. Their banter back and forth about the variety of stupid costumes people wore was well received by all who heard them. They had become small celebrities in the 3 hours that they had been there. They avoided their girlfriends and their depressing vibe as often as they could. All in all, it had been a good night, up until they left. Joe would remember it. Joe jerked awake as Jennifer pulled up to his house and stopped. She kept the car running. Joe's eyes took a second to come into focus. He gathered his whereabouts at the same time. I really need to go home and shower. I can be back in an hour if you want to hang out, Jennifer asked. Joe thought about it. Call me when you're done and I'll see what I'm doing. Jennifer sighed. Fine, she said. Joe got out of the car and Jennifer sped off down the street. He considered counting the seconds it would take before she texted him with a complaint. He didn't care. His top priority was getting into his bed and going to sleep. He entered the house and got to his room before a minute passed. Just as he was about to collapse onto his bed, he noticed an envelope placed on the center of his pillow. He picked it up. It was from the new school. My acceptance letter. Joe was confident it was that. He opened it sloppily and scanned the paper within. Joe's eyes locked on the phrase, "We are happy to inform you," that started off the beginning of the first paragraph. The rest of the letter mentioned rudimentary details about scheduling classes and other boring things. Joe threw the letter on the floor and told himself he would look it over again later. He was happy he got in. He thought of calling his father, who had been interested in Joe's next college ever since he finished BCC last spring. He was much too tired for that. His thoughts went to Richard. In a couple of months, hopefully, he'd be living with his close friend. If not, the two would see each other often in New York. He pulled out his phone and texted Richard quickly before laying his head down to sleep. Got accepted to the new school, it read. Richard, Can this fuck dick measure any harder? Richard asked himself aloud. He sat at the desk in his empty dorm room. Text didn't help. Everything was a competition with Joseph. Even when Richard moved to a different state, Joe had to follow him there to continue his ongoing supremacy. Richard sighed heavily. He prepared to text something back. It was common courtesy to say congratulations after something like that, though Joe hadn't congratulated him when Rich got accepted. Rich was raised to be better than that. He slowly started typing the words on his phone. His thumb hovered on the send button while he debated. The phone started vibrating and the screen changed to reveal someone calling. Caleb. Perfect timing. Rich answered his phone. Hey man, what's up? He asked. Hey, what's up? I haven't talked to you in a while, Caleb said. Not much, just finished my midterms last week. I'm waiting to get the grades back for that. I'm feeling pretty good about it though, Rich said. That's good, man. I'm glad to hear it. Listen, I know this is going to sound somewhat premature by being that it's literally the first day of November, but what are your plans for the Saturday after Thanksgiving? Caleb asked. Richard laughed lightly. I'm going to have to think about that. I know the day of Thanksgiving I'm probably going to be eating food, but the day after is a mystery to me. For now, I'm just going to say that it's open. Great. The reason I asked is because I kind of have this tradition at my house called Second Thanksgiving. Basically, all of my friends are with their family on the first Thanksgiving, so me and Rachel host Second Thanksgiving at my house since we don't really like our respective families that much anyway. I'd like to extend an invitation to you, Caleb said. Sounds good, Rich said. You'll recognize some of the people there. Mariah Henley is coming, Caleb said. Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen her in a while, Rich said. Yeah. Caleb's voice trailed off. Dead air filled the space of two phones for seconds. Rich waited. He didn't know what else to say. Well, I guess that's really the reason that I called. Don't really have much else to say, so I guess I'll talk to you later, Caleb said. I'm sorry, man. I just woke up in a bad mood today. I have no idea why, Rich said. Hey, that happens sometimes. If you figure out what it is and want to talk, feel free to call me. I'm doing absolutely nothing all day, Caleb said. Joe got accepted to the new school, Rich blurted out. He regretted it. He didn't want to draw attention to it. Yeah, that's cool. Good for him. So he's following you to New York, huh? Caleb asked jokingly. Yeah, he really fucking is. He's going to try and be my roommate, Rich said more to himself than to Caleb. Well, maybe Chris will come up there in a couple of months too. You guys can keep the dream going together, Caleb said, his voice laden with sarcasm. Rich snorted. What about Shaun? He's not joining us? Caleb laughed into the phone. Shaun's not going anywhere. He's too in love with his Persian. You should see this guy. He's done with YFC, he said. Yeah, well, so the fuck am I. He almost said it out loud but stopped himself. Good for him, Rich said. She seems way better than Jess. Even though the fact that she dresses him is kind of pathetic. Caleb laughed again. He told you about that? Shaun is honestly his worst enemy. I don't know, man. I just feel fucking bitter today. Am I being an asshole? I should be happy for Joe, right? Rich asked. Not necessarily. You should be happy for your friend, sure, but he's gotten accepted to a number of colleges, hasn't he? I don't want to be presumptuous, but after getting closer to you over the past year, I think you're just ready to start moving on with your life by yourself. You don't have to let Joe slow you down, though. If you want to still be friends with him, that's fine, but you don't have to let him move in with you if you don't want to, Caleb said. I don't want to be his friend. Rich felt a wave of disgust wash over him. He spoke. His voice came out tired and strained. I don't know, man. I think you're right. I've been ready to move on for a while now. I guess that's why I'm upset. I don't want to go back to the same shit when he gets here, Rich said. Then just don't do it. Let him find his own roommate and see him on the weekends or don't. It doesn't matter. But don't let him make you worse than you don't let him make you feel worse than you want to be. How were you feeling yesterday? Caleb asked. Great, actually. I've been getting more and more productive with my weekends. I'm starting to get a good routine going that I'm really proud of. I go to school and do schoolwork on the weekdays. Then on the weekends, I've been writing spec scripts to add to my resume. And at night, I've been going out with my roommate Travis to bars and house parties. Things are actually going good right now, Rich said. Okay then. So do whatever you have to do to stay where you are right now. I'm not saying stop growing. I'm telling you that if you're happy with the way things are in your life right now, then don't let anyone interfere with that. I don't care if Joe's an old friend of yours. Don't let him ruin this for you. And come to my second Thanksgiving, Caleb said. Rich smiled. Thanks, man. Seriously, I'm sorry for unloading all of this shit on you, he said guiltily. Don't mention it. Call me any time, Caleb said. All right, man. Talk to you later, Rich said and hung up. Rich sat in his wooden chair and took several deep breaths. He felt better. The confession was like a load off his chest. He could continue on with his life. His laptop sat open in front of him. He looked at the time, 1 o'clock p.m. He had 6 hours to kill before he had to meet with an old friend from high school. He looked outside of his window. The sun was out. It looked to be a nice November afternoon. Rich got up and got dressed. Denim jeans, blue carpenter shoes, and a blue button-up. He rolled his sleeves halfway up his forearm. He left his bedroom and crossed the short distance to the bathroom, waving to Travis as he passed his line of sight. Rich brushed his teeth methodically. He grabbed his pomade and styled his hair. Rich took a look in the mirror. His face was already starting to show stubble, even though he had just shaved it the night before. He chalked it off as a good thing. It made him look older. Rich left the bathroom. So what are you up to today? Travis asked from the kitchen table. He was eating honey bunches of oats. I've got nothing to do till 7 today, so I was thinking I might go hang out at Ducati Park and get some writing done. You can come with if you like, Rich offered. Thanks, but I'm going to meet this new guy in an hour. What are you doing at 7, if you don't mind me asking? Travis said. I'm supposed to meet this girl I knew from high school. She's lived in New York for the past 2 years, and she texted me the other day trying to get together and catch up, Rich said. Ooh, Travis crooned. I love playing catch-up. Is she an old flame? You could hardly call it that. She's my girlfriend for like 3 weeks freshman year. I broke up with her, Rich said. And now the two of you are playing catch-up. How sweet. I predict rekindling romance in your future, Richard, Travis said with a smile. Rich shrugged. I'm not sure about that. I really don't plan on buying her drinks. That's what I woke up and told myself today. Don't buy her drinks, Rich said. Travis laughed and slapped his knee. You are too funny, Richie. Some girl is going to get lucky. I don't know if it's this one, but one is. I know that. Whatever happened to the fatty's friend that he tried to hook me up with? I don't see her around anymore, Travis asked. Rich laughed at Travis calling Jacob fatty. I don't really know what happened. She was never my girlfriend or anything like that, Rich said. Just a girl that would come over and get fucked and sleep with you. Yeah, you don't seem like the kind of guy that's into that. No offense. I think you want more of a connection from the person that you're seeing, Travis said. I think you might be right. I don't know, Rich replied. He had no concept of why all of his interactions with girls were so limited. Travis looked at Richard knowingly. His head was cocked to one side as he shoveled more cereal into his mouth. He finished chewing and swallowed. Well, don't let me keep you from the park. Have fun being a writer, Travis said, grinning. Thanks, man, Rich said. Rich headed back into his shared bedroom. He grabbed his book bag and checked the contents of it. His notebook was already inside. He grabbed his MacBook laptop and stuffed that into the bag as well. He slung it over his shoulder and headed out of the dorm. Richard got out of the elevator at the bottom floor and walked out of the building. Richard turned left and headed off for Zuccotti Park. He recognized 2 figures walking down the street towards him. His heart sped up momentarily. It was Jacob and Kayla. Fuck, was Richard's initial thought. His second thought was to turn around and walk the other way. He could act like he had forgotten something. He decided against that. It was too late. It would be too obvious. Rich hated awkward moments, but this one he would not be getting out of. The two approached Richard. Oh my God, if it isn't Dickie Baby himself. We were on our way to visit you, Jacob said. Were you? That's nice of you, Rich said. He forced himself to smile and wondered how strange it looked. Yes, we were. I was just at my bitch's crib and we started talking about you. And, I started asking her some questions like how you two are doing and if things are going good, Jacob said. Richard glanced quickly at Kayla, then wished he hadn't. Her facial expression made him uncomfortable. Her eyes were downcast, staring at the concrete sidewalk. She looked like a little girl who had been picked on. Jacob was the mother, chastising the bully for her. Richard groaned on the inside. This was the type of thing that ruined his day. Okay, Rich said. Jacob waited for Rich to say more. Rich didn't. Jacob continued. So, how are you two doing? He asked. Rich looked at Kayla. Her eyes started up and met Rich's for a split second and back to the ground. I think we're doing okay. She's at NYU. I'm at the new school. Both people just living life, Rich said awkwardly. The three stood in the middle of the sidewalk. Richard knew this was a memory Shaun would love to hear about after it was over. Jacob laughed and shook his head. "You're making this so difficult, Dickie baby. Why ain't you texting Kayla no more?" Jacob asked bluntly. I didn't know it was a requirement, to be honest with you," Richard said, his face still held half a smile. "So you think you can just fuck my friend and then stop texting her?" Jacob asked, his voice held a hint of hostility. "Did I do something wrong?" Kayla asked, her voice barely a whisper. Richard sighed heavily in discomfort. He looked around for an escape and saw no options. "Listen, do you think we could talk about this later? I'm kind of in a hurry to get somewhere," Rich said. "Where are you going, Dickie?" Jacob asked. "I just have to take care of some important stuff today for school," Rich said. "Come on, Jacob, let's go," Kayla said, finally lifting her eyes from the ground to plead with Jacob. "Are you going to text Kayla later?" Jacob asked with his hands on his hips. "No," Rich shook his head. "Sure," he said. "Can we go now?" Kayla asked Jacob. Jacob studied Richard's face for a moment longer. Rich tried to avoid eye contact. Jacob smiled. "You better text her, Dickie. Don't be treating my girl all bad," he said. Rich shook his head again. "I will." "I'll talk to you guys later?" Rich asked. Rich squeezed past the two and continued down the street before Jacob could answer. He turned around and waved. He didn't turn back again. He walked on quickly, focusing on turning the corner and breaking their line of sight. That was fucking awkward, he thought. He turned the corner and crossed the street. Ducati Park welcomed him with open arms. He entered and found a nice park bench with a back to it and sat down. He pulled out his notebook and laptop and placed them on the sides of him. His eyes occasionally darted back towards his dorm in the fear of seeing Jacob and Caleb following him here. Rich tried to shake that off and stay focused. He had been doing great this whole month, extremely productive. He opened his laptop. His Celtic screenwriting program was open waiting for him, as was his latest spec script, an episode of Parks and Recreation. Rich cracked his neck and got to work. He wrote for 3 hours. As he worked, Richard felt himself become calmer. He stopped worrying about Kayla and Jacob. He temporarily forgot Joe's impending move to New York. His only focus was the work in front of him, the work that he, himself, had chosen. Richard's entire experience in New York had been leading up to moments like these. He felt in control. There were no parents present telling him what classes he should take and when he should get out of bed or feed himself. Richard felt in control of his life for the first time ever. He embraced that knowledge happily. 3 hours passed and he closed his laptop and put it back in his book bag along with the notebook. It was 4 o'clock now. He had another 3 hours before he had to go. Rich sat and looked around at his fellow New Yorkers. They were all around him, sipping coffee, reading newspapers, talking on their cells. Some were doing just like Richard, sitting on a park bench and staring at people. A woman was doing it across the park. The two faced each other, though she was slightly diagonal from him. She looked to be in her late 30s, early 40s. Rich studied her as nonchalantly as he could. She was pretty. Brown hair that fell past her shoulders in waves. She wore a brown raincoat and over a red sweater. Rich's eyes traced her body downward. Pinstripe pants, black heel shoes. He went up again. She was looking at him. Rich's heart sped up for the second time that day. She stared at him intently as Rich looked away quickly. He wondered what she was seeing across the park. He wondered what she was thinking of him in that moment. Probably nothing. He looked back over at her. Her eyes had passed over him onto the next more interesting bench sitter. A feeling of relief washed over Rich. That passed and left a sickening aftertaste. He looked at his phone. It was still only 4:30. He grabbed his bag and slung it over his shoulder and headed back to his building. Minutes later, Richard stepped cautiously into his dorm room. He looked around for signs of Jacob and Kayla. His bedroom door was closed. He walked over to it. No noise came from within. He opened it tentatively. It was empty. The entire dorm room was empty. Richard was alone. Richard stepped into the bedroom and closed the door behind him. He pulled out his laptop and sat on his lower bunk bed. He tuned his ears to be aware of the sound of an opening door as he went online to look at porn. He stretched out onto his bed, getting comfortable. His head rested lightly against his pillow. He scrolled through the list of options, his eyes searching for the one that he wanted. Images popped out at him as he flipped through the numerous categories. Big tits, blondes, brunettes, enemas, facials, gonzo, midget. Richard stopped at the midget category and scrolled up. Mature. He had passed it. He clicked on it, and immediately his eyes were flooded with clips of older, naked women. Rich cycled through them looking for a video that was to his liking. His eyes rested on one, Ava Adams. He looked cautiously at the door behind him and then clicked the video. He unzipped his pants and shimmied them down to his lower thighs. His phone vibrated. The beginning of the video had just started. Shots of the older porn star walking around in high heels, black like the woman's in the park. He reached down and into his pocket to quickly check his phone. It was a message from Kelly, the girl he was meeting in less than 3 hours. He read it briefly and quickly discarded his phone. "Excited to see you," the text read. Rich waited for Kelly at the heart of a bar in the center of Manhattan. People buzzed all around him. Men in sharp suits and outfits that far exceeded Richard's price range. Rolex watches leaned on the wrists. Women in expensive makeup and perfume held drinks lazily in their hands as they held their own against 3 or 4 men at a time. To Rich it looked as if the women were for sale, but there weren't enough of them to go around. A shortage of product. The men were the buyers, and they were as aggressive as a mother on eBay trying to lock in on the last Iron Man action figure for their darling son. Richard saw all of it happening. The bartering, the pitching, the flaunting. He couldn't understand it. He watched 2 men of equal height, looks, and fashion talk to the same gorgeous girl. They stood only a few feet away from him. What could one offer her that the other didn't have? A bigger dick, Rich theorized. But for her, there's no way of knowing. It didn't make sense. The girl would go home with one of them or not, and Rich would have no idea why. All he did know was that he wanted her. He wanted to be the one that she would go home with. Richard snorted at that thought. He didn't have a home. He had a dorm. A fat gay man slept above him at night. Rich looked at the men again. He could see the outline of bulging triceps through their blazers and suit jackets. Rich had nothing to offer that gorgeous girl. Nothing. It was knowledge that he had been living with for a very long time. He could only hope to change it. Kelly's face appeared amidst the crowd searching for Rich. He was shocked at her appearance. She blended right in. Her face showed none of the blemishes she was accustomed to having in high school. Her hair fell around her in a curtain of buoyant volume, which was stark contrast to the brittle ends she used to have. She wore a simple dark red dress with a small gold belt that was tied around her waist. The dress emphasized her curves. He could see the outline of her breast standing upright and perky. She looked amazing. Her eyes found Richard's face as he waved her over. Her face lit up in an excited smile as she strode over to him confidently in golden heels. "This is so amazing," Kelly said as she reached him. Richard hopped off the stool and embraced her. Her body felt warm and feminine against his touch, her breast pressed against his chest. It was hard for him to let go. He did. "How are you, Kelly Patrick?" Rich asked with a gentle smile. "I'm great. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so mad it took you this long to tell me you're living in New York," Kelly chastised him as she slid onto a high chair. "Technically, I never did tell you. You found out on Facebook, but I get what you're saying," Rich said jokingly. Kelly laughed graciously. "You haven't lost your humor, so that's good," she said with a smile. "Yeah, I guess so. So how have you been? Do you want a beer or something?" "I was waiting on you to get here," Rich said. "I'll get us a drink. The bartender takes care of me sometimes. Whenever I look hot, actually," Kelly said. "Oh, that's cool. You come here often?" Rich asked. "Yeah, this has become my favorite bar. I found it last year," Kelly said. "Oh my God, I'm still freaking out about the fact that I'm sitting here with you in Manhattan. I need to calm down before we can talk." Richard chuckled softly. "Yeah, it's pretty incredible if you think about it. Do you want to get drinks now, or maybe it'll be good by the time you come back," he suggested. "What do you want?" Kelly asked. "A Yingling?" Rich asked. "Okay, I'll be right back." Kelly reached over and squeezed Rich's hand before she left him. His body tingled for seconds after the contact. He watched her walk away. Her calves looked stupendous in her heels. Her ass was similarly impressive. He couldn't believe it. I fucking dated her, he thought to himself. He didn't know how he felt about that. Her cheeks used to be redder. She returned moments later with 2 beers. The smile was still plastered onto her face. She took her seat and passed him his beer. "What did you get?" Rich asked. "I copied you," Kelly said as she took a sip of hers. "Okay, so I think it worked. Now we can talk. Who's going first?" We could just do you if you want. I'm pretty boring," Richard said. Kelly beamed. "How did you get here?" she asked. To school in New York, do you mean?" Rich asked. "Yes! Tell me the story. Last time I heard you, Last time I heard from you, you guys were filming something about Holly. Shaun had sent me a message on Facebook asking me to be an extra in it, Kelly said. Yeah, that was No Haven. We did that a year ago. I think he sent that message to everyone on the Young Folks fan page, Rich said. I guess he didn't know I lived in New York. So how did that go? Kelly asked. Rich shrugged. It didn't really turn out the way any of us had intended. It was one of those things that looked way better on paper. I don't know. I don't think we had the right stuff to execute it properly. I'm pretty sure I watched it. It was on YouTube, right? Kelly asked. Yeah, it's our only video that's longer than 10 minutes, Rich said. Yeah, me and my roommates watched it one night, Kelly said, giggling. Oh, God, Rich squirmed in the seat. I'm scared to ask what you thought of it. I liked it. I thought it was good. You were really good in it. Really funny, Kelly said. Thanks. I think it's kind of terrible. I want to take it off the internet, actually. I wish my name wasn't attached to it, Rich said. Why? It's really good. I don't know. It's something to put on your resume at the least, Kelly said. Rich shrugged again. I guess. Are we done with talking about me now? He asked with a smile. No, she declared. We're just getting started. Oh, God, Rich said monotone. Kayla took another sip of her beer and stared at Rich. You look good. I like the 5 o'clock shadow. You pull it off nicely, Kelly teased. Rich rubbed his face with the back of his hand and smiled. Thank you. I think it's working out for me. It makes you look older. You look really nice, too. Really nice, actually. I was really shocked when I first saw you. Aw, thanks. Yeah, I guess you could say I found myself here. New York is really good for that. You're actually out in the real world here. I'm really proud of you for coming. Was it hard leaving your friends? Not at all, actually. I mean, I see them from time to time. Joe and Shaun came up and visited me not too long ago, which was nice, I guess. But in all honesty, I'm really happy I got away from them. Not to sound like a dick or anything. Why do you say that? It was just a lot of waiting around for things to happen there. After we made the pilot, No Haven, everyone kind of just sat around basically waiting for some TV executive to see it on YouTube and pick it up, which is just really, really stupid. Not only was it not good enough for that to happen, but even if it had been, the chances of someone finding it amongst the millions of other videos that were on there were slim to none. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't really know how it works. I'm an education major, Kelly said with a short laugh. Yeah, it was just really dumb. Everyone was just waiting for something to happen. I was just going stir crazy, I guess. I feel better here, though, Rich said. Well, you guys were a big deal in high school. Maybe it got into their heads. Definitely. But not mine. I tried to keep things in perspective the whole time all that stuff was happening. I never forgot about the fact that there was a whole world of competition outside of Mount Holly. I think that's really the big difference between me and them. I never thought that the stuff we were making was that good. Aw, well, I think you guys made great stuff, if my opinion counts for anything. I didn't stop talking about you when I first moved here. Oh my God, my friends love Nick's funeral. They think you're so funny in it. You should meet them. They'd love you. Rich gave a soft smile. Thanks, he said. Anyway, I think it's a good thing that you're thinking like that. I really do. I think it's very mature, and you're the only one who's going to school right now, right? Joe's coming here next semester, I'm pretty sure. Shaun's still in BCC for psychology. What about Chris? Kelly asked. Rich shrugged. I don't know what he's doing. He works full-time at COSI. He's not in school, though. He's waiting for one of you guys to get famous, Kelly said jokingly. You're probably right. He's going to be waiting a while. It's not as easy as we thought it would be. I think you guys are going to make it. You're all super talented. I tell my friends that all the time. You should look into getting an internship here. There's so much more opportunity here in New York. You don't have to wait to graduate to start building a resume. You should start now, Kelly said. Yeah, I'm actually starting to look into that now, actually. I'm trying to get a couple of interviews lined up for the spring semester, Rich said. Good. I'm really excited for you. I'm going to brag about how I dated you in high school, just as FYI, you know. She winked at him. Rich laughed dismissively. Okay, so we're done with me now. I'm putting an end to it. How have you been? Rich asked. I've been amazing. These have been the best 2 years of my life. My only regret in life right now is not coming here sooner, she said. Yeah, you look really happy. Like you fit right in here, Rich said. Yeah, New York is my home. I hope I never leave it. It's so weird going back to Mount Holly. It's like my life stops during the summer. I would go back as often as I could and stay at my friends' places. Oh my God, are you seeing anyone? Have you met anyone yet? I want to know if I should get jealous, Kelly said with his big smile. My luck with females hasn't really changed that much since high school, Rich said. Whatever that means. I still remember the day you broke up with me. I almost cried, Kelly said. Yeah, I'm sorry, I guess. It wasn't your fault. I just spend way too much time with myself. You know, like in my own head, Rich said. He took an awkward sip of his beer. He wanted to change the subject quickly. How about you? How's your love life since you are asking about mine? Kelly blushed briefly. Oh my god, don't get me started. I'm reliving Sex and the City every day of my life, she said. Oh yeah? Feel free to elaborate, Rich said jokingly. You probably don't even watch the show, but all of my friends call me Samantha. I've become such a promiscuous little slut, Richard, Kelly said jokingly. Richard's dick twitched inside of his pants. He winced. He tried not to show it. He nodded his head in understanding. I can definitely see that happening. You're much hotter now than when I dated you, no offense. You were pretty back then too, Rich said. Kelly laughed. Thank you. Yeah, guys won't leave me alone here. Every time I go to a bar, I have to practically fight guys off of me. When I went to get our drinks, a guy offered to buy them for me, she said. Yeah? So what is that like? Rich asked awkwardly. It was weird at first. When I first got here, I met a guy at a bar my first week of moving in. He told me he fell in love with me the moment I walked in, and I didn't look like this when I first got here, just so you know. So anyway, I didn't know what to think. He told me he had a lot of money and that he wanted to spend all of it on me, and I guess I just let him, Kelly said, giggling. He took me out on shopping sprees and fancy dinners. Oh my god, my grades were so horrible that semester. It was a great experience, though. He showed me so much stuff. I didn't even like sex until I met him. I'm guessing you like it now, Rich asked. Kelly laughed girlishly. You could say that. I'm a completely different person than the one you knew in Mount Holly, Richard. So anyway, like 6 months into the relationship, I found out he was seeing other girls, and he acted like it wasn't even a big deal. So in order to get back at him, I sort of had a whore phase, she said. A whore phase, Rich repeated stupidly. Yeah, I started going out to bars and clubs by myself. It got to the point where I would meet a guy at the door of the place. I wouldn't even have to go in, they would just take me back to their place. Oh my gosh, my parents would be so shocked. The number of rooms I've seen. But it's just so nice. I never pay for anything, Rich. I can't remember the last time I bought a drink for myself. Whenever I wanted a nice dress or shoes, I'd just text the guy and ask him to buy it for me. Do you still see the guy that said he loved you? Rich asked. Yeah, sometimes. Every once in a while I'll run into him at a club and I'll go home with him for old time's sake. He's really my favorite guy to have sex with. The night we met, he took me home and gave me like a dozen orgasms, and I had never had any before. It was crazy. It was such a crazy experience. Rich nodded his head rhythmically, his mind spinning from the information Kelly was giving him. He drained the rest of his beer. Finally, he said, I can see why you like it here. Kelly laughed at that. Her eyes were full of delight, her mouth wide open. Rich could see all the way down her throat. Yeah, I love it, Kelly said. She tossed her hair to one side and blinked slowly at him, seductively. Anyway, she said, do you want another beer? Rich sank into his bed exhausted from the experience he had just gone through. He thanked the powers that be that kept Jacob out so late. He did not want to deal with his roommate any further for the rest of the night. He laid his head on his pillow and looked at his phone. Kayla had texted him. So, when exactly do you plan on texting me, it said. Rich deleted the message. He looked through his phone. Joe's text stared at him from his phone screen. He had forgotten to text him back after Caleb had called him. He decided to do it then. Good job, man. I was pretty sure you'd get in since I did, the text read. Joe's response came back immediately. Thanks, man. I figure if I'm going to go to school, I might as well have a friend as a roommate, feel me? Yeah, I got you, man. As far as roommates go, I don't know if I'll be able to swing that since everyone here is pretty cemented in, and I'm not really trying to move all my shit into a different dorm again, lol. Rich took a certain amount of satisfaction from sending that text. He liked saying no to Joe for once. It felt good. Joe texted back. That's cool, man. No matter what, I'm sure I'll see you. We'll probably have some of the same classes and stuff. Anyway, on a different subject, I was just getting ready to text you. We won the film race competition that we did in July. The results were just posted online an hour ago. Unbearable won in Philly and LA. Rich stared at the text in disbelief. He had completely forgotten about the competition and the film since he had moved to New York. He had seen the finished project and had written it off as something unimpressive. He texted Joe back. That's crazy. I didn't even know it was entered in LA. I can't believe it won over there. Joe texted back after a minute. I know, right? I was thinking the same thing. Basically, we just have to beat the video that won in New York and we'll win the whole thing. Most likely, anyway. I talked to Kyle when I found out, and he feels pretty optimistic about it. We talked about We talked about making tools into a feature if we win the prize money. That's if we win, of course. That'd be pretty awesome if it won the whole thing. Ridiculous, but awesome. Rich texted back. Yeah, I'd be fucking shocked if it won. But it won in LA though, so I think the chances are pretty good. Anyway, they're having a showcase of all the winners in New York the second Saturday of December. Kyle's flying in from LA to go. I'm thinking all of YSC should make an appearance and represent. Kyle said if we win, he's buying everyone drinks, lol. Richard started texting Joe back. His screen changed and his phone started vibrating. Shaun was calling. He answered. Richie boy! Shaun sang into the phone. Sup, man? Rich said. He scratched his ankle and settled into a comfortable position on his bed. How you doing? Shaun asked. I'm good, man. Living life and whatnot, Rich replied. Do you know why I'm calling? Shaun asked. I do not, Rich said. Well, 2 reasons, to be honest. One is because my girlfriend wants to waste time and talk to my stupid brother downstairs while I'm trying to get my D wet. So I figured right now would be a perfect time to call my best friend Richie. The second reason is I wanted to talk to you about the film race thing. First off, did you hear that we won? Shaun asked. I did. Joe literally just texted me about it, Rich replied. Yeah, LA and Philly. In your honest opinion, just us talking, how do you feel about that? Shaun asked. I don't really care, to be honest. I had little to no involvement in it. I mean, I'm definitely happy for Kyle. I think he's a super cool guy, but other than that, I don't really care. Are you shocked at all that it won? Shaun asked. I'm surprised that it won in LA. I figured the competition would be a lot stiffer over there. Philly sucks, obviously, but yeah, winning in LA is surprising. Can I just say something? Between you and me? Shaun did not wait for a reply. Am I the only person who thinks the video itself kind of sucks? Rich chuckled. I mean, I never thought it was that great. Right? I've been thinking that since the first time that I watched it. Fucking Pat's funny in it, and I guess Kyle is too, but other than that, it kind of sucks. YFC did not fucking shine whatsoever, Shaun said. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Rich said. I don't know. I hope we win, but I'm not holding my fucking breath. Are you going to the showcase? Shaun asked. I don't see why not, since I'm going to be here already, Rich said. Shaun started into the phone. You smug fuck. Fucking New Yorker boy. Apparently it's open bar before 8, so I'm trying to come through. If anything else, it's a chance to get the gang together in New York. That just sounds like a recipe for a good time. I hear that, Rich said. Anyway, on another note, guess who I saw today at Wawa? Shaun asked. Miley Cyrus, Rich asked sarcastically. Good guess, bro. But no. Fucking Jennifer, Joey's main squeeze, Shaun said. Oh yeah? How'd she look? Rich asked. Still ugly, Shaun said bluntly. Rich burst out laughing. Fuck, that's ridiculous that you just said that, he said. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm the only one thinking it, then I'll shut the fuck up, Shaun said. I'm definitely not going to be the one to do that. She's not the most attractive girl in the world, Rich agreed. I mean, since we're being honest right now, both Chris and Joe have a tendency to date unattractive girls. Don't get me wrong. I've fucked uglier girls than they've dated, but I don't make them my fucking girlfriend, Shaun said. I hear you, man. In Chris's defense, though, Kate is a really cool person, Rich said. Granted. I like her. I think the world of her. I think she's super cool and laid back. I wouldn't even mind her as a girlfriend, to be honest with you. I'd love to have a quiet bitch that just comes over and sucks my cock as I'm watching The Wire or some shit. That sounds like an awesome time, Shaun said. Rich laughed and shook his head. I'm not sure that's what goes on behind closed doors. I can't guarantee that's what's happening. If it's not, then I'd be bouncing. Anyway, let's say this is what's happening. I don't mind Chris dating her. But what's Joe's excuse with his bitch? Does he not mind the fucking chin? Every time I look at it, I get scared and I thank God that we don't have the kind of relationship where I have to hug her every time I see her. I'd be afraid that she'd cut my shoulder or some shit, Shaun said. More laughter erupted from Richard. Let's not forget the teeth, he said, goading Shaun. Or lack thereof. You should be saying, let's not forget the gums. But you can't because that's all there is. It's disgusting. He kisses that. What the fuck is wrong with him, Richie? Shaun asked. A couple of months ago, I was over his house for some reason, and I ran into his mom. It was around the time when Joe had just broken up with Kirsten and started seeing Jen. And I ran into his mom and while he's in the bathroom, and she asked me what happened between Joe and Kirsten. I just said I didn't know. I guess it just didn't work out or something. Then she told me that it's a real shame. Rich started laughing as he thought about the memory. Then she just looks at me and lowers her voice and goes, Jennifer, though, what's up with that? Shaun laughed loudly into the phone. Oh my God! So even his own mother is wondering what the fuck he's doing with her? That's hilarious. You should have seen her face when she mentioned her. It was such a look of disgust, Richard said. That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. And you know why he won't give her a fucking title, right? He's fucking ashamed. As long as he doesn't call her his girlfriend, then he doesn't have to own up to it. AKA, he's in denial, Shaun said. I guess so, man. I don't know, Rich said. The things we do for sex, Richie boy. The things we do for consistent sex. That's all it is. Just promise me you won't let it happen to you. I don't care if you fuck ugly girls, just don't ever buy them shit, and especially don't make them girlfriend. Please, promise me, Shaun pleaded. Rich chuckled. I don't think that'll ever happen, buddy. I just don't want to have to lie to you when I meet her, you know? Not to you, man. And don't get me wrong, if you fall in love with some buck-toothed indie bitch that you meet in New York that just happens to get you and is a great person on the inside and all that stupid shit, I don't want you to be ashamed to introduce her to me. But that's only if you love her, man. Otherwise, please don't lower yourself. Please. It'll break my heart. I don't want to be the only guy in YC who has a fuckable girlfriend. It's lonely at the top, Shaun said. I'll try my best, Rich said humorously. Joe probably deserves it anyway for just being a shitty person, Shaun said. I spent $100 when I visited you in New York, after fucking Joe literally hijacked our hangout. Yeah, he did definitely do that, Rich agreed. I don't know why we can't just say no to this guy, man. I really don't. He texted me telling me he was going to accompany me on my trip to see you, and my first reaction was to tell him no. But because I'm a faggot, I'm non-confrontational, I said sure. And look what ended up happening. We saw a fucking 3-hour shitfest of a movie that I didn't want to fucking pay for, and went up and down New York looking for a fucking place that had burgers. All that sounds like a pretty accurate description of what happened. And all I wanted to do was visit my best friend in New York, and maybe buy him a beer. That's all, Shaun said depressingly. Yeah, Joe is a pretty horrible human being, Rich said. It's okay. Jennifer is his repentance.